The Lillian McDermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be. I'll be right here, right here. And when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for you.
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening and viewing friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who are tuning into the classroom for the first time, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening and my viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, today is going to be something that I've been wanting to do for a while, but this man, Dr. John Gray, is a really hard man to get onto the classroom, but I'm so grateful that he's here. Relationship expert, best-selling author. And so many people have been writing to me about these relationship issues. And I had shared with you that I want to do like a workshop for marriage with my husband of 28 years. And I want to also look at what's out there. What are people buying into as well? So in comes attachment style. And what is your attachment style? And so we thought, who else than relationship expert John Gray to come into the classroom and kind of help us dive into what are these attachment styles and how can we get out of them? And maybe there's another option. Maybe these attachment styles can be combined with another style and it will best suit ourselves. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Dr. John Gray is here to do just that. Welcome back to the classroom. You look great, by the way. You look like you've released some weight.
I basically look great. I've always looked great, but I'm smiling. I'm 70 years old and I feel 35. Most people don't know, but I was married 34 years to my wife, Bonnie. She's my soulmate. And it's taken about 3 years to go through the whole grieving process. I'm well on my way to making every day better than ever.
That's right. That's right. Your best day ever, right?
I'm in a lovely relationship now, and back to the living, and living more than I've ever lived before. If people could understand that all setbacks are opportunities to move forward, kind of like walking up a step. You step up and you stabilize, and you step up and you stabilize. And if we don't stabilize, we tend to fall back down. Correct. So we all have upsets, challenges in our relationships. And if we can look at those as simply triggers to help us understand ourselves better. I know we're going to do a little bit on, you asked me to talk a little bit on
I noticed that you laughed. I laughed
because it's so silly. I mean, I hate to discard. I've read all the literature. I go, okay, it's a lot of thought goes into it, and people can do a survey to see what type are you, and then they go, well, what do I do about it?
What do you do? That was my whole thing that I asked you. As a coach, I can take those different personalities and help them, take responsibility and ownership and stop being a victim and all those things. But that's not addressed, not that I've seen so far. And so I thought you would be the best one to talk about relationships.
Yeah. Actually, I am. I'm the antithesis of those. What are they called again?
The style of attachment.
Styles of attachment. Now, what's good about all forms of psychology and therapy is it allows you to self-reflect. So anything that helps people self-reflect.
Great point.
Okay, very, very good. So people want to know, well, how am I different from other people? How am I different from other people? And that's the whole foundation of my work, how men and women are different. And in the whole theory of attachment styles, there's no mention of how men and women are different.
And that is a focal point for you, because there is, I remember every time that you come on, I learn something different and new, and I love it. And I remember you saying that there are roles that have been violated. And so that's a huge message that is not being sent out into the world.
Would you say that again? Did you say what's being violated?
Roles they're huge. There's like roles for men and women that traditionally have kept everything in balance. And there's things are out of balance.
Everything's out of balance, but we have to recognize change is good. Evolution is good. We have a potential now. It's a crisis. Every crisis is an opportunity for growth. Also, you can go the wrong way until you wake up and discover you're wrong. And attachment theory is wrong from the perspective of it doesn't give people the whole picture, which is men and women are different. So I'm not an expert on attachment theory, but I'm asked about it. So I read about it, whatever. And immediately I have my bias. I acknowledge my bias. I've been doing this 50 years. One of the first things, attachment style, and correct me if I don't get it all right. So this is not a primer on attachment styles, but as I recall, there's the avoidant type. Okay, now this is the type that they get close and then they pull away from intimacy. Well, every man is the avoidant type. And if he is the needy type, which I think is the anxious type or the fearful type, whatever, but there's the one who avoids intimacy and the one who's needy. Okay, every woman, if she's unhappy in a relationship, is needy. So now you get to say, oh, am I a needy type? But here's the problem. If you're a needy type, a woman on a needy type. So let's just acknowledge men are avoidant type. Everything about that is just bottom line comes with masculinity. Because what happens if you understand biological differences between men and women, how could any counseling psychological theory not take gender into consideration?
Okay, so here's I want to interject something there. There is something that's happening in the world, and I don't know if you can speak up on this or not.
Of course, I know what you're going to say.
There is a gender neutrality. It's like you can't be a woman, you can't be a man, you can't be claimed one or the other. I don't know what you think about that.
Yes, insanity. Complete insanity. It's the wrong direction. It's only creating suffering. It's creating divorce. It's inhibiting ability to form relationships, to create a family, to raise love. No one is having any critical thinking, any understanding. It's purely illogical. Boys are boys, girls are girls. We come out that way. We've got massive amounts of research proving that for those who like to look at science. And today I'll just give a brief primer, as simple as can be. Males need to make 10 times more testosterone than females, at least. Otherwise, they're depressed, anxious, irritable, and can't sustain erections with somebody they love. So impotence is rampant. The average testosterone level of a 20-year-old is 50% lower than a generation ago. This is insanity. All illnesses are directly related to, we can't always say cause and effect. What we know is correlation is the biggest counter to our happiness is chronic stress. You know, if you're feeling pressured, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling dissatisfied, if you're feeling unhappy, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling unmotivated, if you feel conflicted, if you're unable to forgive, if you're holding on to resentment, if you're doing this and thinking about what happened yesterday and that day, and that's upsetting you, anything from the past is upsetting you. All of those are states of elevated stress hormones in your body. Okay, let's get this as physiological. When stress hormones are activating your body, cortisol, what happens is blood flow goes to the right prefrontal cortex of the brain. You can measure this in brain scans, which only sees negativity. No love, no happiness, no trust, no positivity, no good memories, nothing. All you can see is negativity. Life every day is negative and positive. It's all out there. Are you kidding? People are crazy today. It's so negative. and yes, that person has more and this person has less and this person is suffering. And this world is a mess. It's getting messier than ever before, although it was getting better and better. Without a doubt, we are better off than anybody 50 years ago in terms of comfort and safety and security. But minus the last 3 years. The last 3 years, we're heading back to insanity, craziness. So, well, sounds so pessimistic, but actually it's very optimistic, because people will suffer and they'll wake up. They'll realize, like Black Lives, like defund the police. Wherever they defund, crime is rampant, crazy. Defund the police. Yeah. Rehab the police, educate the police, educate everybody. How about that?
Yeah.
Certainly we need to improve, but defund the police? Are you crazy? Equity. This whole idea of equity is we're all the same. So if I go to work and I'm lazy and you go to work and you work hard, we all get the same. If I score higher on a test and you score lower on a test, you get the job as opportunity as me. And if you actually scored lower, you get it more than me. That's equity, is everybody gets the same. This is insanity. There's no motivation to change. This is what happens in communist countries. I live in China. This communist country, nobody's motivated to do anything. Capitalism comes in, at least part of the society is motivated, so they're able to do stuff. Russia, the most down country I've ever been to. You look at Russia, you get off at the airport, you drive into the city. When you get into St. Petersburg, the most magnificent creative city in the world. So beautiful, fountains, architecture, literature, all the great literature, all the great music, all the ballet, all the culture. Russia, brilliant, right? Now that's what you'll get to the center of town. Now just go on the way there. You'll start from the airport. You'll see as the city has expanded out, the architecture becomes drab, droomy, gloomy, all the same. You can see this is the evolution. This is where society goes when you bring Marxism is. Black Lives Matter is a movement which says it's Marxism. That's what everybody should have the same. This is insanity. It all started back when I became well known. The reason Men Are From Mars was so helpful is that the world wasn't as crazy then, and people realized that the universities were telling everybody we're the same. And I came along and said, hey, guess what? Common sense. The emperor has no clothes. Men and women are different. I've been fighting that battle now 30 years, 40 years, actually. Yeah. My book came out 30 years, but 40 years. So right now we're at a place where they're so confusing. The denial of gender only creates poverty. The denial of differences. We need to recognize differences. And I'm not a heartless person. See, the heartfelt part of communism and Marxism is, if you, like a family, if one child is sick and they can't perform, you actually give them more. You give them more food, you give them more love, you give them more attention, and you help them.
Yeah, but who would want to be healthy in that kind of mentality? If I'm sick, I'll get everything I want, but if I'm healthy, I won't.
That's right. That's right. And if you're healthy, guess what? You're going to do things and you should be acknowledged for what you do. Yeah. You should get more if you work. You should get more if you're more creative. You should get more opportunity if you make a bigger difference. You see, this is the way the world works. Those who achieve get more, and those who don't achieve, who are weak and helpless and need help, they get the basics. They get what they need to get back on their feet, and you give them education so maybe they can then go achieve. Now, what I've just said there is understanding what's called gender differences. We have, all of us as human beings, a male and a female side. Mm-hmm. Now, culture used to support men being grounded in their male side because that was our evolution. We could only be on one side or the other to a great extent. Mm-hmm. Women were supported to be on their female side. That's necessary to make babies and to survive. And men have to be on their male side in a dangerous world to support and protect women in a dangerous world. Okay, so we had this culture that supported men actually having testosterone. Our biology is based on we need 10 times to 20 times more testosterone in order to love a woman and be committed to her. Okay, that's it. You don't have it, you won't be committed. This is why men can't commit today. They all think free love and all this ridiculous stuff. Commitment, relationship, loving, growing in love together. This is power. This is my power as a man. So many foolish men, they go, oh, I want to be free, to have sex with whoever I want, free love. Well, I was there in the 60s. I did all that. I was a hippie. That was on my female side. That's do what you like. Do what you like. No, do what works. Do what you have to do to get the result you want. Yes. That's masculinity. And every woman has a male side. Every woman has a female side. It's just her female side needs more support. His male side needs more support. are biologically, we are as biological people. If my estrogen is the level of a woman's, my testosterone starts going down, I'm depressed. Every depressed man has healthy estrogen levels of a woman and healthy testosterone levels of a woman. See, men need 10 times more testosterone, women need 10 times more estrogen. People say, where's the research? Well, it doesn't sound good. How can you make just go online, just look at any hormone test, look at the range of health for women, the range of health for men. And it's all your attitude, your behaviors, whatever you do, whatever you prioritize determines what your hormone levels are.
Yes.
So here's a simple study for that. Because people, oh, where's the research? Simple stuff. It's done huge. It's huge. Gender neutrality, what's happened now? Why is that? Well, certainly as we become more conscious, okay, this is for the people who believe in the God or the soul. All right, this I do. Okay, I experience. All right. So as the consciousness comes down into us, we become more aware of who we are.
Yeah.
So we have greater self-awareness. Actually, we're all so sensitive today. Oh, how do I feel about that? Oh, I'm so offended by that. Oh, I like that so much. We are more sensitive. That's a good
We're so
thing.
self-oriented. We're self-egoic. The egoic self is being fed.
Huge. But it's freedom. You see, that's what's so great. That's what's great about America. That's why we are leading the world down the tubes, or we can lead them up. Okay. We have greater sensitivity, but we must behave like adults with that sensitivity. The problem is people walking, oh, I'm so hurt by that. Well, my mother taught me that lesson as a child. Sticks and stones may
break my bones.
Stones can break your bones, but words can never harm you.
Never harm me.
Grow up.
Or, I'm rubber, you're glue. Everything it says bounces off of me, sticks on you.
I like that one. I never got that one.
You never got that one? Oh, I learned that one too. We see in others who we are. Basically.
That's exactly right. We blame about other people. You're just talking about yourself, Okay. So what's going on? I know everybody's falling into this trance, okay, that it just sounds so good.
There is a
Wouldn't it be
trance.
great
It is.
if everybody can have the same and we all have, no, the world's not that way. But see, part of it is that in my own spiritual experience, I was a monk for 9 years. I'm very spiritual. I spend hours in deep meditation every day and I pray for the world. So that's just a part of what I do. Now, in that experience, it's an experience for me. Not everybody gets to have this experience of just an ocean of awareness. I am one with the ocean of awareness. Okay. That's the truth of life. There's a oneness. It permeates everything. Not everybody's conscious of their oneness with others. Mm-hmm. But when you say something and I go, yes, I think the same thing. There's a oneness. Mm-hmm. Yes, I feel the same thing. There's a oneness. And that's why we have this lower level of consciousness, which America was getting out of, and now we're reverting back to, which is tribalness. Mm-hmm. Tribalness is finding that oneness with somebody that agrees with you, but you disagree with these other people. It sharpens your insistence on everybody thinking like you, because we're wanting to find the oneness, but the oneness is just one reality. It's like there's an ocean and I'm a wave on that ocean, and there's no wave like me and there's no wave like you. But when it comes to the waves, like furniture, there are chairs and there are couches. They're all furniture. Okay. We're all one furniture, human beings. We're like furniture, but there are chairs and there are couches and there's functions that go along with those. Those roles are out of date today. See, that's what's so confusing, is that now with this higher oneness coming in, both men and women have easy access to their male and female side. Now, what does that look like? Okay, we have to define feminine energy. Estrogen goes up when you feel like I'm safe and I can depend on you.
For
like
women.
Right now, I feel very safe that you appreciate me. You're nodding your head. So I feel I can express myself. Okay. If maybe you were frowning and whatever, I would sort of pull back and my testosterone would go up. I must be more careful. I can't be so relaxed. I can't just say whatever I feel like saying. I have to recognize what's going on. I make sure I look at the danger of the situation. My testosterone is always looking for what's a problem. I have to solve it. These are you put a person in a situation where they're in danger, their testosterone will go up. Now that's true for both men and women. If you're in danger, you have to protect yourself. So let's say you're a woman, you're feeling very safe in a relationship, you're in love, you're addicted to fantasies. So you imagine that this man's going to give you everything you want. He's so wonderful. He's so consistent. He's so there. What's a new relationship? Okay.
That's
You
right.
have no history. You have no history together. Nobody's perfect, but you have this fantasy. All right. So you can really depend on him, and you open up and you share with him things. And then he looks at you one day and you're upset about something. He goes, that's stupid. That doesn't make sense at all. Honey, you're overreacting to things. You always overreact to things. Now for a year, I see you get mad about this, then you let it go. In the beginning, I thought it was just a passing thing. And you realize you don't need to be so upset with me. I'm a good guy. So he's just put her down. See, he's made her wrong. He's made her an unloving person. He's damaged her self-esteem. So she closes down. So she pulls away. Oh, we call that the avoidant type. No,
Yes.
you're actually
Anxious, actually, anxious.
First, she was the needy type. I'm opening my heart to you. But see, that's what femininity is. Femininity is the part of you that says, I need you. And part of you that's masculine is the part of you that says, I can deliver. I got this. I can
Yes.
handle it. No
Mhm.
problem. I'm there for you. I'm selfless. I'm going to go into battle and die for you. That's who men are. We kneel to you when we propose to you, and you glow, you radiate. Oh, my hero is here. Unfortunately, it's a fantasy. We have unrealistic expectations. My mother didn't have those unrealistic expectations. She knew, like everybody in her generation knew, there's something called the honeymoon period. Men are much more affectionate, more, men say, I love you, I love you, I love you. But how many times I have to tell you, can't you remember? I mean,
What style is that? Forgetfulness style.
basically, what's confusing about these attachment styles, to bring it back into that, which is you would think as a man that he has one of the avoidant attachment sides. Why? Because when he gets close, he always pulls away. Now, if that's a neurosis, because these are like saying you're neurosis, and one is you're the secure type, so you're not neurotic, and the others are all neurosis. No, you can have neurosis. For example, I could be a man. I want to get close, and then I pull away, and then I don't come back. Okay, then I have a problem. All right, which is, but your typical man, all men basically have this pattern, and it can be suppressed, and they can become needy. When they become needy type, they're going to be on their female side too much. But a man is on his male side. You got a real guy. That means he's got a job. He makes money. He works hard. Okay. All those things. He's not emotional. He doesn't whine and complain. The old quiet guy, tall, dark, and handsome, silent type. It's because he doesn't complain. That whiner. Okay.
But wait. I want to add something there, because they don't complain, John, because they're told, men don't cry, men don't show emotions, stiff upper lip. I mean, there are some stereotypical roles.
Men don't do that traditionally because that supports masculinity. Now we got a new age where to be a whole person, I can't just be masculine. I've got to be feminine as well. That's gender neutrality, but it's actually, they're not the same thing. They're very, very different. They're two parts of me. I cried in the movies. Boy, after Bonnie died, I cry all the time. Okay. So
you told me that,
but I behave like an adult, even you have to realize on one part of me, I believe in heaven. My wife is in heaven. She talked to me on the other side. She's happy. She's out of pain. She's out of suffering. Why should I be crying? I'm happy for her. But my subconscious mind, the subconscious mind is all of our programming. It says, no, I can't be happy without her. So I could be happy without her. And of course, if I say I'm happy without her, that must mean I don't love her. See, it's a confusing brain. The brain, talk about grieving for a moment. The brain says, I love you. You make me happy. So the brain, you give me love. We all need love. And so the brain goes, oh, now you are the source of my love. So to get my love, I need you. That's called attachment. That's real attachment theory. And everybody has it. If you fall in love, you've attached to your partner becomes the source of love for you. Mm-hmm. Now, after she dies, the brain goes, if she's gone, I'll never have love again because she is love for me. That's what the brain does. Okay. This is the attachment that goes in there. So then the brain starts to detach to go, okay, I need love. I need to find love somewhere else. So if I go and find a little love somewhere else, even if I go find something that makes me happy, then, I feel guilty because I'm so happy, but I should be sad. Why? Because I love my wife. See, why do you feel sad when you lose your wife? Because you love her, because you're attached to her. And so if I'm suddenly now attached to somebody else, that must mean I didn't really love my wife.
Correct. Correct.
So
And that's
people out of
insane.
guilt and love for their
That's
wife. They can't
that's
move
the
on.
guilt. That's the guilt and shame cycle that we don't even know we carry with us, that we need to forgive ourselves for, because we deserve happiness. And you know, those are things that
Not
just
even forgiveness in this case, it's understanding.
correct. Good.
If you
It's a good
grieve for
word.
someone you lost, it's because you love them, but it doesn't mean you can't be happy again.
Yes.
But the reason you were so sad is because you loved them. The mind goes, okay, I'm so sad. Imagine my wife died and next day I went, hey, everybody, I'm so glad she's out of my life. Well, then that meant I didn't love her. So if I'm happy, it means I don't love her. And if I'm sad, it means I love her. So I can never be happy again in my life. So people feel guilty being happy because it would mean, oh, you think she was just chopped liver, you know, chopped meat.
Yeah.
You know, I know one woman with her husband, a couple got divorced, and the husband now is, you know, it was a bad relationship, and now he was actually free to be himself. So he was very, very happy, although he was a good doting husband, very people pleaser kind of person. Wife was really commanding on him a lot. She had problems, he had problems, no question about it. But when he ended, it was like another woman says, what is his wife, just chopped liver? How could he even be involved with somebody now? I said, no, he's like a hungry man. He's on the desert. He hasn't felt loved in 10 years. Now a woman who's happy just fills his heart. Of course he's going to go there. It's hard for women to understand that because women have a different set of hormones. They attach more than men do because estrogen, the female hormone, is the attachment hormone. It's like when you make love, you want to be cuddled afterwards, right? You want to just be so close. And he's sort of inching away. but for a little while, he's there because his estrogen is way up. Estrogen is attachment, but attachment is estrogen. Now, for a man, estrogen, too much estrogen, lowers testosterone. So what he has to do, he has to detach to rebuild his testosterone. So he will detach. He goes back away. He pulls over to the other side of the bed and goes, I need to breathe.
And I need to sleep.
And he goes to sleep. That's right. Now, some women say, oh, they want to pull away too. Okay, you have a male side. No problem. It's the male side, women producing a lot of testosterone, if necessary in that moment, no problem, as long as they're also producing a lot of estrogen. The problem is, it's hard. It's not easy to just produce testosterone and estrogen at the same time. What that would mean is you're doing something that requires sacrifice and you're happy at the same time. You know, I got up this morning because I had to get up. I had a session. I was doing a counseling session. Last night I stayed up really late. So I went to sleep late. That's what I like to do. Female side is what I like to do. Male side is what I have to do. Testosterone side is what I have to do. I have both. That's why I'm happy and healthy and successful and all these things, and learning to integrate those two things. The gender neutral crowd, gender fluidity, means they can go from one to the other. But the problem for them is they're not very good at coming back to their biological sex. If you don't own that you are a woman and you pretend to be a man all the time, then you're doing things that push you too far to your male side. It's hard enough just being a woman with a job. Right now, you know, to be independent and making money. Anytime you're doing anything to make money, you're producing male hormones. Now, if you happen to also feel abundant and happy and enjoy doing what you do, then you're also making female hormones. I happen right now, as an example, I'm working hard and I love it. I always feel like with my clients, my secret, they should pay me. I love what I do. And I love being a father to my children. I love my wife who's in heaven, and I love my new partner that I'm with. I mean, my life just gets better and better and better because that's what bringing both sides within you does. You become more. Now, if you look in history, most of the creative people, have been gay people. They're confused about their sexuality. They go from their male side to their female side. So you go back and forth. They had more, they're born with more spirit, so to speak, more access to both sides of who they are. And when you have access to both sides who you are, if you go from your female side over to your male side, because you can move back and forth, in the midpoint, you get a moment like a pendulum. In the middle, you're a genius. Like I'm a genius. I can written all these books. I can do all this stuff. It doesn't mean I'm so smart. I didn't do that great in school. It's natural talent. any talent people have, that's God's voice speaking through them in that
I like
sense.
that.
That's
I
what
like
that's
that.
what genius is. It's God, it's just a talent. So I found my talent in life and I get to be rewarded for my talent. Not everybody's found your talent or talents. I have many talents. So that's where the male and female come together. That's how we create life. See, that's how babies are made, is when her estrogen levels are really high and his testosterone levels are really high and they hit their peak moment, they connect and a nice little spirit can come into a happy world. And then the mess. The mess is what we experience in this world, which to help us make this world a better place. We experience the suffering. We realize it's due to our thinking, our mistakes.
Correct.
We stop blaming. We start taking responsibility. That's what your classroom's all about.
All about.
Learn something new. And then you realize everything you did in the past, didn't know that. So it was wrong. Okay. Every time you open up the higher level, you have to sort of work through everything in the past. And I have a quote here that I wrote down because I want to remember it. One of my clients told it to me.
Yeah. Did you pay them for that?
Right. But I want to share it with everybody. It's a Carl Jung is a really wonderful teacher.
Yes.
And one of his quotes is a famous quote he has is, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and your will, and you will call it fate. It will direct your life. It's always direct. Everything that you do, everything you think, it's automatic. It already happens. All you can do is look at what already happened and now change it so it won't happen again.
Yeah.
Well, everything just comes out. Everything I say, I didn't think about it, just blah, comes out. Okay. We're writing, blah, comes out. This is all produced by your unconscious. When I'm driving the car, I mean, I'm thinking about this, thinking about that. I didn't, I have this experience. Like one of my cars is pretty wide and the garage door is not that wide. Okay. So you can't just the first 10, 20 times, maybe 50 times, go really slow to make sure that it doesn't hit the edges, the rear mirrors, even though I close them because he'll scrape the car. Now, that was it 1 year later, I just zoom right in. I don't even think. It's programmed in. We have to realize so much. Every reaction you have is programmed in. And if a programmed in reaction is, I'm so happy to see you. I'm so excited to wake up today. I'm so glad I get to do this. That's programmed in. Most people don't have that program.
That's right. And they need to rewrite the program because that's the only way they're going to be able to capture that subconscious mind and acknowledge that those thoughts are not doing anything to benefit me and rewrite those thoughts to benefit ourselves.
And discover the power to rewrite those thoughts.
That's right.
Not everybody can, not everybody, unless somebody teaches them how to do it. There's a wisdom of how to do it, when to do it, the right way to do it. And there's so much to learn about life now that we have double problems. In the past, it was hard enough to be a man. It was hard enough to be a woman. Now it's doubly hard to be access both male and female. As soon as a man goes to his female side, it's like he's on a desert and he got water and it just feels so good. This was me in the 60s. I'm a young teenager. And Texas, I'm a hunter, I shoot a gun, I'm all into being Texas-like. And then hippie land comes, the Beatles happen, and everybody's like in a whole other state of peace, love, and harmony. And I demonstrate for peace. I don't go to Vietnam. I have my signs up. I grow my hair out. I get high, I have free love sex. All that stuff is the opposite of masculinity, but it's my feminine side. And women are all in support groups to how we're going to take over the world and we're going to make money. We're going to be CEOs. We're going to stop the oppression on women, all this stuff. Okay. So what happened? Women loved it because as they're going over to their male side, they're still on their female side. They're still wearing dresses for a while, so to speak. So they're going to their male side. Right in that middle, it's ecstasy. It's orgasm. That's what orgasm is when you're connecting with the male and female are coming together. And for gay people, although it's more challenged, it's more difficult, I have to say, because I know the statistics on gay people, because when you're someone who's just like you, you don't get the opportunity to connect with the opposite. You see, you've got to be able to connect with the opposite. An intimate relationship, heterosexual, forces you to do it. And if you don't know how to do it, then you end up getting divorced. And gay relationships, you lose all the passion. It's called dead bed. And male gays, one partner is always very, very promiscuous and it's no big deal. You accept that because, male can't be committed. So, but they'll have their house husband, the parent of their children they adopted, but the other one's out fooling around. I see this a lot. But the point of view, it's very unusual to sustain passion with the same person. You can love them like my parents loved each other, but we are at a higher level of consciousness. So if you're gay, you need to recognize both of us have a male and female side, and there needs to be time where one partner gets to be more masculine, one gets to be more feminine, and then they have to consciously choose to reverse that. So both sides of them are getting a chance to grow. When you're in a heterosexual relationship, your partner already is on the female side and you're on your male side, and you get to bump up against each other and overcome through understanding. You see, when I understand your point of view, I'm stepping into your shoes. I'm walking in high heel shoes. I'm wearing a bra. If I understand your sensitivities, but at the same time, I'm not wearing a bra. I'm a guy, I do guy things. So you have to have your male side, your female intact, and feel secure about that. Then you can step over the other line and stay on your side. You see, you got to stay on your side. When my wife's upset and I get upset back, I just lost my masculinity. Men, your job is suck it up. Don't get angry. Don't get upset. Don't cry. None of those things if your partner's upset. Now,
what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? You're not supposed to get angry, whatever. What do you do?
Well, if you
lovingly,
these are just ideals. If you're sailing a ship, you're navigating. In the old days, you needed a North Star. You never stay on track with the North Star, but you have to know what is the right direction to go. Once I'm out of balance, what do? You get angry, stop talking. Man should never talk when he's angry to the person he's angry with. Then all you're doing is reinforcing the pathways in your brain to use aggression to get what you want. You should never use aggression to get what you want. You should use love to get what you want. The same thing happens for women. When you complain to a man, you're using negativity to get what you want. You're just growing pathways. You can't help it. And then all your mind's going to do after you've spent years doing that is you've got a pathway as big as the Grand Canyon in your brain. So whenever you feel like, oh, I want more, your brain looks at what's wrong with life instead of like what's good with life. I want more of that. I want more of that.
Yeah, because you get more what you focus on. So if you focus on what you don't want, you get more of what you don't want.
And you don't have choice until you realize who's wanting, who's complaining, and who's complaining is never you. Just want you to know that. I call it the 90-10 principle. What somebody does, I was just counseling a client today, and his wife was complaining to him, and he said, okay, I hear you, and I want to work on that. And she said, which was a good thing for him to say, it was sincere. And then she says, well, I've heard that before.
And what did you say?
Have a comment at that. Well, what he should have said. See, I told him, he said, I'll try working on it again, because she was complaining to him. And what he actually did, he says, well, I'm going to work on that, or I'm going to try harder in the future. What he just did is made her wrong. See, she's not trusting him in that moment. Don't make her wrong for that. He should have just basically listened to her and then said something nice. Like, well, when she said, well, I've heard that before, he could have said, well, that's true. No judgment, nothing. It's true. She's heard it before. So why shouldn't he just?
Okay.
It's defensive. So we need techniques of how to communicate. But what I'm saying is, who is complaining there? Not her adult self. Who is reacting within it? He felt really bad. He says, I'll try to do better. And I said, wow, you said, I'm really sorry. I'll try to do better. He says, yeah, that must have make you feel like shit. He says, yeah, it did. I felt really weak and helpless and like I was seeking approval and I didn't deserve to be loved. And I said, now you have the awareness of personal growth. Now you can know what Jung said. You're now feeling what you felt as a child when your mother was critical of you. That's not you feeling that right now. That's the child inside of you feeling that. So you realize 90% of anything that upsets you has to do with your childhood, to help you look at your unconscious mind in order to hear it and heal it. Heal it.
And that's an attachment style right there. That's an attachment style. When your child within you, let's say when you were first traumatized at 5, and the woman's, her child they're communicating like child.
All arguments are children talking, no mind.
That's right. So an attachment style that we could say is that get out of your child and become the loving adult and address the situation. And that would be a secure relationship when you
that's the secure relationship.
That's a secure relationship.
But everything is so clouded with this is what you should do, because that's what you should do. But how do you get there?
Yes.
The way you get there, find your security, is to recognize, first thing, Whenever I'm upset, it's really not about my partner. My negativity is my negativity that relates back to a time in my past where it was reasonable for a child who had no cognitive ability to be so upset, to be irrational. Children are irrational. So now you can recognize, okay, I can love myself, my part of me, which I remember my mother was critical of me, and that made me feel like so bad, so ungood, so inadequate. And then what emotions did you feel? I don't know. I just felt bad. Well, now give yourself a chance to feel angry. I'm really pissed off. How dare you do that to me? And then really sad. I don't have a mother that loves me, except I have to be not good enough. And I'm afraid I'll never get it. So I'm pressured to be a high performer. All of that could be learned in that one moment where your partner made you feel low, and not blame her for it. And then for the man, coming back to a practical communication skill, anything that makes you feel not loving, stop talking to your partner if you're a man. Now, for a woman, anything that sounds unloving, say it. Try to say it the best you can, the most honest way you can, if your partner can hear it. And you can sense if you're beating him up, then he can't hear it. So you can share depending upon how much negativity you're putting out. Okay. Like, are you disapproving of your partner? Then don't talk to him. If you have disapproval, that's not love. See, people have to get, we are not loving, and yet we think we're so loving. Well, how do I get him to change? I love him so much. Yes, you love him. And then when you talk to him, you stop loving him, because disapproval is not loving somebody. Complaining about someone is not loving. Telling them, well, I've heard that before. But at the same time, is she a bad woman? No, she has a child inside too, a defensive person inside. So he should understand that and just not argue and fight. And of course, he's outgrown that now. They have a much better relationship. Now for her, okay, what a woman needs to do is she's attached to him hearing her. She has to let go of that and get attached to somebody else hearing her, because your partner can't hear you right now. So, and maybe the way you're communicating, your partner can't hear you. So talk to somebody who can hear you. And that would be somebody that you're not trying to change. Because when you use communication to change someone, if you're supporting what they want, good. But if you're not doing it from a place of love and you're using negativity to change them, you failed, you're not.
Or manipulation.
That's all manipulation. All negative emotions are manipulation. If people can understand that. It's, imagine you're upset with somebody and they seem to be ignoring you. Now, okay, no big deal. This is typically women get upset. Women blow up, men minimize. Both directions we tend to go. So she's starting to, she goes, he's ignoring me. Well, then I'm just going to hamp up. I have to suffer more. I have to be more upset. I have to be more upset. I was in the store the other day and the store wouldn't take something back. They said, if you don't take the box, if you don't have the original box, we can't give you exchange. What we can do is send your defective camera in 6 weeks, you can get it back. If you had the original box, we could change it right now. Okay, that's their policy. And there's some logic to it. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, my partner at that time was so upset. This is crazy. This is a saying. We don't have a box. And I said, why did you get so upset? And by the way, she very quickly said, I guess I should go outside. I said, that's probably a good idea. It was embarrassing me. Many women don't recognize it's embarrassing me. They want to make you feel bad too. But I'll tell you stories about that. But anyway, she went outside, she cooled down because she stopped using negative language to get what she wanted. Yeah. But why did she get up? I said, why do you get so upset? Well, they need to know that they're going to upset us. They should feel bad. They should feel bad. So we get upset and roar like animals in order for somebody to feel guilt, or we roar like animals in order to intimidate others. It's all manipulation, and manipulation does not fly in today's world today. Everybody wants to be free. The reason we're a little crazy is because we are free. And to find security, we're willing to give up our freedom. This is an insanity if people are willing to give up. They're happily going along with all the control and everything like that. How dare you? What are you talking about? I'm a free person. Anyway, I've never felt patriotic before. America's a free country.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We're willing to give up our freedom because it gives us comfort. It gives us comfort. When Bonnie was sick with cancer, for example, she followed her intuition and she used my advice and alternative advice. And when she passed, I felt so bad. I said, maybe we did the wrong thing. Maybe we did this. Maybe we did this. I could have, the coulda, woulda, shoulda. You have to work through. You have to listen to that little frightened child who did the wrong thing, who thinks he did the wrong thing, and realized she went through 9 months without chemo and no pain in her body, as her body had these gene problems, defects that are well known. And doctors said it's amazing. They thought she would suffer from bone cancer and all kinds of things. Anyway, so it was all good, but still could have been better. See, there's always something you can pick apart. Yeah. And now I just thought to myself, now I've been one of these other people who just said, oh, my wife has cancer. I have no idea what to do. We don't know what to do. We'll put it on you. And then and she dies. We go, oh, I'm not responsible. See, you're guilt-free if you're not responsible. So, my child could die. People can say, I'll just do what everybody else says, because we're afraid. You see, when you're afraid, I like this, and this little thing, FEAR. Well, many people say that's false
evidence appearing real.
Okay, that's false evidence appearing, and that's true.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite saying that I came up with is FEAR, is forgetting everything's all right. See, in the moment, that's what people say, be in the moment. Well, in the moment, the bad thing hasn't happened yet. And the bad thing, there's nothing you can do to change it. You are where you are. And people have been to the worst experiences, learn that. Like, I was homeless. I was in danger. My father died in a robbed and left in the trunk of his car to die. On my honeymoon, I heard that. My younger brother committed suicide. Before I married Bonnie, this is my soulmate, I was married to another woman who fell in love with another man after 2 years, and we divorced. And I was teaching a class on relationships.
With her. Yeah, exactly.
There's a trauma up my kazoo all along. I've been sued several times, lawsuits and whatever, frivolous lawsuits. I mean, this is, I even wrote a book called Mars, Venus in the Bedroom. And in the first year, I sold 2 million copies, right? That's a huge thing for an author to sell 2 million copies in 1 year. And somebody else who wrote a book and sold 535 copies, and it sits next to my books on the shelf. He says, you stole my ideas. I said, what are you talking about? He stole your ideas. So I had a lawsuit. He wanted me to give him credit for my ideas, and my book was written years before his book. And he said, yes, but I learned the things in my book from a class. I took it in some year. And I said, yeah, here's a tape of me teaching these ideas 10 years before you wrote your class.
Wow.
And the ideas that he wanted to sue me for were things like, well, in your book, you say you should take a woman out on a date, create some romance before having sex. I said, yeah. And you say, I own that idea? What's in my book? You took it.
What a novel idea. I never thought of that.
This was like nuts. And yet you have to put up with that when you're a big famous name and celebrity, and stupid people are out there, and lawyers want to make money on you.
Sure.
I just sued for $1 million from a caretaker of my ranch. I gave them free reign. They could live at my ranch for 10 years they lived there, never paid any expenses. And all I said is just find the right people to hire and I'll pay. And then they sued me because they said they worked 24 hours a day. And because I had no records on them. And I paid them also a lot of money. But the law in California says if you don't keep records, whatever they say is true.
Oh, wow. What a tough lesson to learn. But I bet you'll never do that again.
That's right. I'll never do that again.
And what a great opportunity to learn.
That's right. I learned a lesson, and I had anger at them, and I realized they were taken advantage of by the law and the lawyers who have a scam. Because anything had gone to court, if it had gone to court, I would have won. It was so stupid. Anybody could see through it. But they know there's a law that says if you don't take records, then it's a minor incursion. You'll pay a little fine for that. Maybe I would have paid a few $1,000s to them for that. But I would have paid $500,000 in legal fees for them and for me. So it'd been $1 million anyway. So that's why I chose to just settle. It's insanity. The laws are, and the manipulators who use the law, just like they're manipulators. So I had to forgive the lawyers, not even the people. They were just taken advantage of by some sneaky lawyers, and not all lawyers are that way. That's how you have to heal these things. Realize that there's evil out there, and not everybody's so evil. Right now, they're censoring any knowledge out there, and that's not the narrative. Censorship.
Oh, well, did you hear in Canada, if you try to counsel anyone out of being a homosexual, you will get put in jail or a fine or something like that.
That's right. There are actually groups that support people who are gay, who want to see if this is just a childhood issue that I can overcome and go straight. For example, I see it all the time. I mean, I've got women all the time who say they're gay. And I say, well, why do you think you're gay? I say, well, my father was horrible. I can't trust a man. It's so much of this is wounding from the past where we deny, if you've been wounded by a man, it's hard to depend on a man again. And if you had a smothering mother for a man, it's hard to want to come back to your smothering mother naked. It's just not, it just turns you off.
Because you end up attracting what you feel comfortable with, what you're familiar with, and then you repeat the cycle. But here's the thing: we are wounded children.
Principle, but that's true as well. And when we look at attachment theory, see that if I dissect it very simply, what they've done is just looked at the neurosis of people. Some people, when they get close, then they pull away because they're afraid of being rejected again. And some people, when they get close, they get overly needy and they have to become overly dependent on their partner. Now, if you look at this in terms of gender, what you'll see is the biggest issue that turns men off about women is neediness. And neediness is any kind of dissatisfaction. The opposite of neediness is, hey, it's no big deal. I can handle it. We can do it another time. Or, hey, this is how I'd like you to do it. I want to give women a real practical example of not being needy, because it's very hard for women to understand their neediness. Mm-hmm. They try not to be needy. So if you're trying not to be needy, you're going to be the avoidant type. You're pushing down your female to go to your male side. Mm-hmm. And the male, it's healthy for men to have cave time. You see, if a man is needy, he doesn't take his cave time, and that makes him more needy. He's the irritable man. He's the passive man. He grumbles about stuff. He's passive about stuff. He's a whiner. That's the needy man. He's too far on his female side. So it gets very simple. Understand men, they go to their cave. If you go in after them in the cave, they keep going further away. Or they feel guilty for going in the cave. And now you've got this needy guy that you're not turned on to anymore because he complains too much. Women, just think about what a turnoff it is for a man to complain so much. Now, what men have to know is you don't want your wife complaining about you, but 10 times worse is a man complaining to his wife. And I promise you, if you stop complaining to your wife, she'll have less to complain about. When
complaining to his wife about work, friends, life,
whining,
or this relationship.
Yeah, it can be either one. It's really terrible when a guy complains about the relationship. And the problem for women is they need to learn how to complain in a new way. Women have to complain. Think about this. This is your nature to complain. And go back to 1,000 years ago. This is in our unconscious. Complaining is something's not working and we need to change it, right? Yes. I mean, we should all complain about the world. Terrible world. Okay.
Yes.
Complain. All right. Now, think about a little village, and this is how the world used to be. It's a dangerous world. You didn't have police, you didn't have telephones or anything. You depended on a man to protect you. Okay. They were dangerous people. Tribes want to take the women, and they want to humiliate the men, and all kinds of stuff would happen in some cases. So you're in a little village. You got your man, he's your protector. He's asleep, and the whole village is asleep. You go out and get some water. And as you're going out water, you see there's a tiger checking out the village right there, very close, coming real close. So what do? You hustle back and you tell everybody, there's a tiger, there's a tiger. Your survival is dependent on telling everybody. You're carrying a baby. You can't fight that tiger. And they all were carrying babies. I've been to the Amazon. They're all carrying babies. They're pregnant all the time. This is what they do. And so you're with your child. You wake up your husband. There's a tiger out there, and I'm upset. He said, "Oh, don't worry about it. No, it's a tiger." You go, okay. She's unhappy. I'll go get that tiger. And so what does he do? He's going to be really quiet and sneak up on the tiger. So for men to face danger, and life is filled with danger, we become quiet. I used to be a hunter. And a hunter, you find a position, you stay really quiet, and yet your distance, you take distance. You got your little place you're watching from. You're very quiet and you're very patient. That's masculinity. Distance, patience, quiet, ready to aim. And what is the aim when your wife is talking? You basically say 3 words. Help me understand that better. Get her to talk more. And then don't interrupt her. And then what else? And then help her understand that better. Tell me more. Show curiosity. And if you're not curious, recognize there's a house on fire and they need you to put it out. And the way you're going to put it out is bring forth your curiosity. That's how you're going to solve the problem, is by being curious and not putting out the fire. Fire will naturally go out on its own. She'll realize there's nothing to be upset about. Fear, F-E-A-R, forgetting everything's all right. So when I was grieving for my wife, somebody said, well, don't you believe in heaven? I said, of course I believe in heaven. My wife's in heaven. She talks to me from heaven. She's happy as can be. No more suffering. Then why are you so upset? I said, I'm not upset. I'm celebrating. My wife is out of pain. That's so good. But my unconscious mind thinks mommy died and I'm all alone. It doesn't come out saying, hey, this is your unresolved issues about mommy. No, it just comes out. My wife's not here. I don't want to live. I don't want to live without my wife. That went through all of that. Couldn't sleep at night. Felt like I was unworthy. Felt I was bad. I should have been this. I should have saved her. If I got done this, went through a whole survey of every argument we ever had and realized I could have been better. That's okay. I processed through it. I'm so much a better person now because I could lovingly look at my mistakes. See, when people don't love themselves, they can't look at their mistakes. They have to always try to make themselves right instead of recognize you're wrong. You're all wrong. If you don't have what you want, you're wrong. But you're not a bad person.
Well, okay. So do you see, there are people that have to be right all the time. And I grew up in a family of right fighters. And so I know how to do it, but I chose to not do that anymore. I don't want that. But there are times where you get threatened and you default to that. And so that's when we have to take a good look at ourselves and come out of it. Like you said, take a little break, because, when you think you're evolved, hang around your family, and so
or get married and have sex. Have your own family to push all your buttons.
So here's the thing. I understand, when we first started talking and I'm like, stop. I want you to record. Let's record this. When we first started talking about attachment styles, and I received your reaction and I heard your reaction. And so, we talked a little bit about it. I can understand in a world today where we weren't taught we are different, that a woman has a role and a man has a role. And all of a sudden we've broken out of that. And now we have equality, that the next generation.
We have sameness.
Okay.
Equality or different. Okay. We think it's equality, but it's sameness.
Sameness. Okay. Well, that's
we're different. And I equally respect you and you equally respect me.
Sure. And okay. So when you come out, you don't have the same, it's like Venus and Mars. It's like you're trying to learn a new language. You're trying to learn it, and it just doesn't fit because you don't have anybody really modeling this new and improved life 102. Nobody has 201.
This book, nobody in the world has written anything like this.
Yes, Beyond Mars and Venus. Get it?
Why? Because it wasn't necessary before, because men were men, women were women. And now dysfunction usually occurs when women are more on their male side, men are more on their female side. Okay. And how do you know that dysfunction is occurring? Simple symptoms. You're not happy. 1, 2, you feel very common for women when they're on their male side. Their mind is always busy with, I have to do this, I have to do that. And that's what you all call overwhelm. And for men, it's the opposite. He's out of his mind. He's just sitting there watching TV, doing porn, playing video games, not doing anything responsible, lazy. See, that's where men go when they're too far on their female side. Now, when they're on their female side and their male side, they're romantic, they're interested, they're motivated, they're kind, they're generous, they're selfless. They're the guy kneeling before you saying, I'm dedicated to you. You're the one I love more than anyone else. And again, what is monogamy? It's the opposite of equity. Equity is everybody gets to have sex with me. I get to have sex with No, we should everybody have it. No. I'm going to give more to my wife. She's more special to me than anybody else. My children are more special to me than anyone else. And this show, because you're promoting me, is more special than other shows.
I'm always promoting you.
Oh,
but and I'm just trying to get to the fact that, I heard you say this, John. You said, I've been trying to get people to understand this for 40 years. I wrote the book 30 years ago, but for that time, I'm trying to get people to understand this. And some people say, okay, this is great. And now you're trying to get people to understand that we have gone so far away from the original roles that we as men and women had, that, I mean, it's just like, here's Mars and Venus, and here's Mars and Venus now. It's like, it's like we need to teach this next generation what we were taught, but they might say, don't put me in a box. I want to have this freedom. I don't want to, that's the old way of thinking. The new way of thinking is this. And now they're writing new books about attachment styles that make sense to them. How do we bring it together and say, this attachment style, you need to look at yourself and take ownership of yourself and your emotions, and stop trying to control other people.
Yeah, that's the answer. Is, when you say you're trying to, nobody should put me in a box. Nobody should put you in a box.
Correct.
Okay? But then there's something called reality, which is we're in a box. Okay. There's gravity. It holds me down. There's biological realities. If I eat ice cream anymore, I get fat. Okay. There's just a reality. When I was young, I had a different metabolism. I could eat all the ice cream I want. And I like ice cream, but you know what? I like being slim. I like feeling flexible. I like having energy more than ice cream. So I make a decision and a choice and follow through with it. And that's my male side that can do that. Mm-hmm. People don't do that anymore. They're too weak. Men don't have their male side strong, and women don't have their happiness loving side strong. And women are tougher than men today. There's no question about it. And this whole thing about women make less money than men, again, more propaganda. Yes, some women make less money at the bottom of the tier, or if you're married with children, you make less money. Single women who are educated compared to single men who are educated make 130% more, not 30% more for the same job. Everybody knows women are getting all the jobs today, but as soon as they have children, their commitment to the work obviously is less. So you're going to pay them less. That's just a natural phenomenon. The person who's working 80 hours a week is going to get the raise. The person who's working 40 because they got a child and they love their child and they're not crazy to make work so important. And then the whole thing about why women don't break it through the glass ceiling. Well, they are today. And look at all the divorces. Okay.
and the compromises that we as women are making as moms, because you cannot, I know that people are going to write to me and maybe be upset about this, and that's okay. But I believe that you cannot have it all the way they're trying to sell this illusion. I could work, but my children are always more important. And I can't compromise my children because I want to make more money. So I think women they want to sell the you have it all, you can have it all. Something's going to be compromised, and it better not be the children.
Every decision we make is a compromise. I love Hawaii. I choose to live in California because I have an airport that can go all around the world. Otherwise, I'd be in Hawaii. So to do my job, I have to also give up that. Every decision we make, there's always a yes and a no that goes with it. That's what relationships are. That's everything. And compromise is a part of life.
It's great.
And so we have to recognize that. And when it comes to having it all, live a long life, and there's time to do everything.
I like it. Because there is, I was, my dream was to, as I was growing up, of course, I had when I was a little girl, let me just say, when I was a little girl, I had a doll named Victoria. If you would ask me what I wanted to be when I was growing up, I'd say I want to be a mom. And I loved Victoria so much that I accidentally popped her head out because I would hug her so much and her head actually came off.
Too much is not a good thing, right?
No, not a good thing. But I was in a situation where I had to go back to work. I had to go back to work.
Yeah, it's a have to.
I had to, but my children were always, I would skip having more money than my children. And so my children are always my priority, whereas my ex-husband didn't have to worry about that. He didn't have to worry about that. So, when you have to support yourself, you have to support yourself. But there are ways that you can make decisions so that everybody wins. Your children win, you win, your goals win. But we've forgotten about win-win.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have forgotten that.
We're talking about attachment theory. So I want to throw this in. It's just about attachment because it's the word attachment. The mother has a greater attachment to the children than the father. And that's why when a mother stays home with her children, I could be in Japan and I call my wife and she'll show me a video of the kids and I'll feel connected because I connect to the children through her. See, she's the female side of me. So if she had an experience with the children, sure, I miss it, but not nearly as much as she was miss it because she doesn't connect with the children through me. There's a real balance here. Those children are a part of her. They're part of me too. And as they grow, the bond grows more and more.
Interesting.
And everybody to know in relationships, men's bond grows when they feel they can provide and do things for you and it's meaningful.
Beautiful.
Women grow in bond when someone does something meaningful for them. And then you kind of go, well, what does a child do for a mother? It fulfills one of her biological imperatives and mission. And what does she get out of that? Because she is like a man, you're on your male side, you're solving problems all the time. Mm-hmm. Being a mother is ultimately the perfect chance for a period of your life to integrate your male and female side.
Correct.
Because the female side grows by feeling safe. We all feel safe with children. And the child actually gives you something, which is unconditional love, one of the highest love. So women are getting a lot from holding that little child. Okay. So they're giving so much. See, when you're giving, you're on your male side. When you're receiving, you're on your female side. Again, paradoxical. People have it all backwards, you know. It's like, any unhappy woman that's ever come to me in counseling about relationship, what she'll say, almost the same thing. I give and give and give. I don't get back. And you call him selfish? Step back.
I hear you. Selfish? So a man gives and a woman receives.
Yes, that's masculine. Masculine giving, woman receiving. Think about when you're happy, when you're smiling, when you're needing help, when you're asking for help, when you're feeling appreciative, all those, whenever you're feeling those things, you're making estrogen. Mm-hmm. Like if you're sick and you go to a doctor, you depend on them, right? You make huge amounts of estrogen. That's one of the reasons, probably 10 times more office visits are made by women than men. Because simply going to a therapist, a coach, an instructor, a teacher. I mean, how many tennis pros get laid all the time? Because she's got a teacher and he's putting full attention on her. Her estrogen levels go up. Estrogen goes up when I depend on you. Now, the testosterone goes up when you depend on me and I do something for you. My testosterone goes up. Now you can have both going up at the same time. That's called integration. That's a good thing. And what we have people is women going over their male side. And unfortunately, a culture doesn't provide for a period of time to raise your children where you could be doing part-time job and raising your children or just raising your children. Mm-hmm. It's pretty tough today, the way the world is set up, to be home alone with your kids all the time. That kind of drive you crazy. It used to be you had a tribe of people. You know, if you go to the Amazon or you go to Bali, you see, you know, all the women going down to the river together and they're talking and they're sharing and the kids are playing and they're all babysitting. You know, life is not so cloister. You know, you go nuts if you're just with your child all the time. Mm-hmm. But so you need help. So the world really doesn't support that. You need to get over to your male side, you know, get out there because you do have a male side. You know, you want to be productive, do something, but you want to prioritize the time where you get all those nourishing feelings and so forth. And that's a time to learn how to be most feminine, how to come back to your feminine side. And for a man to provide for a woman during that time. I mean, I told my wife when she was pregnant and the kids were little, I said, honey, I'm your slave. You can depend on, but this is not forever. You know, our relationship, you know, at one point we need more back and forth here. But, you know, look, I'm going to wash the dishes. Whatever you ask me to do, I will do. You should know that. And that made my relationship really good. And she didn't take advantage of that. And by not taking advantage of it, it was natural. Not taking advantage of it meant she truly appreciated what I did. See, what men hunger for is to feel like I did a good job. I did a good job. Now, every woman knows how good it feels for people to go, oh, you did a good job. Great, whatever. Multiply that times 10. And when people do say to you, oh, you did a good job, your tendency, if you're not on your female side, is to feel it's not enough. Whenever you feel not enough, your female side is weak. Whenever you feel I'm not enough for the job, your male side is weak. See, and this is all hormonal when I'm talking about this. This is finding hormone balance, doing the things. It's very complicated, new knowledge, because it's only complicated because nobody ever heard it before.
Yes. Well, you know, you're retraining a new generation of I don't want to say this out loud. You're retraining a new generation that hasn't been educated in how to achieve a life of a responsible life. And, everybody wants to do what they feel like, and it's a feeling generation. And the reality is sometimes we might not feel like changing a diaper, and we may not feel like waking up in the middle of the night when a child is crying, but we do it.
You grow in love that way.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're going to wake up. It's happening. This message we get out there right now, it's not as big as it's going to be. It's going to come back. People are going to realize this was a huge mistake. But they have to suffer for it. We have to have the evidence you're suffering for it. We can start seeing it happening now. I've written a book here called The Boy Crisis, that blue book over there.
Okay.
Great for how to raise boys. If you're a single mother, what do you do for boys? I mean, he doesn't have a father. Are you kidding? How's he supposed to learn to be a male? And if you don't have positive relations with men, how's he supposed to feel mother loves men? What am I? I guess I'm supposed to be a little girl or something. It's very confusing for boys today. We talk about all the statistics of how men are falling back. For example, I mentioned earlier, well, maybe I didn't mention earlier, a male at 20 years old today has the testosterone levels 40 to 50% lower than 20 years ago.
Yes.
Dramatically drops. And if you look over the board, all males, just average, how many at 27, how much is the average at 35, the average at 42, the average at 49. Every year that average goes down a point. Every year of the last 20 years keeps going down, down, down. The average man at 50 years old right now has half of the testosterone he had as a young man. I'm a 70-year-old. I have 50% higher because I know this knowledge. I know what I'm talking about. I spent my whole life understanding gender. And yes, this is going to push your buttons because it's the opposite of what everybody is saying.
Hey, it's a new truth for many people. Yeah.
New truth. It's just been such confusing message out there. And so this is the reality. We have to realize life is, we are in boxes here, but the amazing thing is the spirit comes in. Yes, I've got this physical box, but I can be as feminine and loving and happy and joyful and creative as any woman. And at the same time, I am tough as nails. I fight battles, I don't complain. But by the way, we didn't finish that one point. I know our time is up.
Yeah.
I talked about women's nature is to complain. Women's nature is to talk about problems, to share what their experience is. And her nature is also to love and be happy. Whatever, it's vulnerability. One way of looking at vulnerability is to say, I have been affected by you. I'm letting my guard down and letting you affect me. So you can be happy, you're being vulnerable. You can be hurt and you're being vulnerable. You can be scared and you're vulnerable. So it's either positive or negative. It's emotion. When you feel emotion, you're connecting with your vulnerability, which by the way, is massive estrogen producing. Now, the next thing, two types of sharing. Okay. One is called, I'll call, because it's a discernment, complaining versus sharing. If we're at a restaurant and I'm unhappy, the soup is too cold, and I say, waiter, my soup is too cold, that's complaining. Why? Because I want him to know there's a problem and I want him to do something about it. Either give me a free dessert, give me a better soup. You want him to change his restaurant, whatever menu, I'm wanting to affect change over there. And my happiness, a complaint is my happiness is based upon you changing, meaning I can't be happy unless you change. That is neediness, that's demanding, and that is complaining. Talking about the soup. You could be with a girlfriend, you're both talking about the soup. It's so awful, it's terrible. I can't. Do you have a recipe for that? They could talk all evening about how bad the soup is, better soup remedies, and this restaurant, I'm never going to come back here again. Any of those things, they're going to have more and more estrogen talking about how bad the soup is and their own soup recipes. Now, if you're on a date with a man, don't do that. Because he's a guy, he needs testosterone to feel like I took you to dinner, I'm providing something for you. Don't complain, because what's it going to do? Even if you're not trying to change him, it still sort of rubs off on him because he feels like he cooked that food. He's great. I'm providing this for you. That's my food. He feels good because when you say, oh, that was the best meal I've ever had, you see him glow. And you don't say that if it's not the best meal you've ever had. But, when you're in a state of integration, people laugh at me. My kids always laugh. Yeah, Dad, every meal you have is the best you've ever tasted. And yes, every day you had, great day. This is a glorious day. That's how you feel when you're integrated. But it took me a long time. I don't expect that of people. I was 70 years old. You have to learn how to clean out the unconscious brain so that now it's all been rewired back to who you are as a human being. And then your soul can come in.
I love it.
Okay.
I love it. And so I want to real quickly.
When he pulls away, go complain to somebody else, but not to him. Okay. You need to attach, you need to share. And that's why therapy and coaching and classing and all these things and journaling, so many skills I talk about in this book for women, how to come back to their female side.
Absolutely. And again, if for those of you that you want to have the information where you can reach John Gray, you can go to whenyouneedafriend.com. Make sure that you subscribe and like and follow me on social media. Make sure also that if you keep an eye on who's going to be in the classroom, all you have to do is click on his name and it'll take you to his website. And the website is marsvenus.com, and get his books and all that. So I want to encourage you to also check out my sponsors, check out my little Shop Now bag. And remember that February 6th, we have the Roadmap to Health workshop, the virtual workshop with Dr. Thomas Levy. And so I'm really excited about that. So please consider joining us there. And we also have other things that you can get in my little Shop Now bag, and you can become an enrolled student in the classroom, and you can donate $1 or $1,000 to help. So if you're looking for a place to help out, I'm female, I want to receive. I got that today from Dr. Gray. And so I want you to know that this is how we grow the classroom. And we were very, very grateful. So I said that you can go to marsvenus.com. In the book that he is talking about is Beyond Mars and Venus. Go ahead and show it up again. My little Vanna White, male Vanna White. So where can we get this book? If they
new relationship skills for the complex world we're living in.
Yes.
It's you go to my website, go to Amazon, go to any bookstore, they've got it. Bookstores maybe not have it now. But
when did you release
this is
it?
3 years old. I've written several books since this book, but this is the one that changed the world. I write on men only books. I write Raising Boys book. How to Find a Conscious Man book, Mars Venus on a Date. But this is the one that truly is what's necessary in the world today. So I mainly promote this. Also, my website, I have free classes right there on the front page, marsvenus.com/gift. You can go right to a gift. It's all there.
Wonderful. John, thank you so much for this conversation. It was totally different than I expected, but at the same time, very much needed. We need to have these conversations because it's okay to be a man and it's okay to be a woman. And I don't know where all of a sudden we're shaming the gender. And so we've gone a complete opposite direction. And I'm hoping that by promoting your books, by having this conversation, it'll make people aware that there is the body responds certain way so that we will feel more female or more masculine. So thank you so much for everything that you do.
Oh, you're so welcome. It's a pleasure to be with you. I look forward to it again, Lily. I love your classroom.
Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome anytime. And please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott and Dr. John Gray wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Good job. That was the best ever. Good job.
Thank you.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.